Welcome back once again to Pentiment. We last time started painting the early history of Tassing. We went with the story that Il Peter told us about uh, finding the spring, which has some similarities with the story that Andreas heard about St. Moritz and Mars and Gaius Metellus, sort of the recurring founding myth of Tassing. Um, and we went with that one for a couple reasons, including that the sort of Roman version of the story was somewhat inappropriate, and if we want to get controversial things past the council, we might want to try and save that for the depiction of the rebellion, which we'll do later on. Welcome back, Cell. In this episode, we're going to try and paint the Christian history of Tassing. We wrote to Brother Matthew, Prior Matthew, Archdeacon Matthew, who still was very salty about the rebellion and the way that he ended his life in Curacao. It was nice to see that he's still with Brother Rudiger, and they seem to be, somewhere else, presumably living their lives happily. But we talked to our dad, and we have a few additional places that we can visit and people that we can talk to try and learn more about Curacao. We're going to talk to Sister Gertrude. We're going to talk to Elsa, who's lived here for generations. We're going to talk to Father Thomas, and then we're going to try and sneak into the Abbey. Last episode as well, we had the side quest with the key and the frogs. We didn't end up helping Artemis, nor did we recover the key. Oh, I see. There was a mass release of frogs from the tabernacle on Sunday Mass while the whole town was in attendance. I'm certain the twins had something to do with it. So their prank that they were going to try and rope us into did go off. Which, I mean, good for them for finding a whole bunch of frogs in autumn. Seems pretty impressive. And I had no interest in trying to rat them out to the priest, who I think is behind all of the evil workings in Tassing anyway, so I don't mind. Here's Matthew in his older form, the Archdeacon of Sion now. And let's see if we can clear our journal. I wish that there was a, jump to unread, or view unread only option, or something like that. Especially for these terms like sacristan, which we've been familiar with for, in-game decades now. In, Lutherans, when this is something that we were talking about in Act 1. It's interesting that we're just now getting that in the glossary. Okay, journal cleared. Since we've advanced time by a few weeks, we're going to go talk to everyone in town anyways, and see what new things they have to say. Just try and be as thorough as we can. I really like how, despite this being like a very simple art style, not everyone looks the same, and you can tell just by looking at the characters who is related to who. Helen, get down from there. Like, it's very clear looking at the faces, and, like, obviously the hair and stuff is a clue as well, but even just looking at the faces, there's enough detail that you can tell, like, Till looks like his grandfather, Artemis and Apollo look like their family members. I like it. Hello, Christina. Did you see the froggies on Sunday? I did. They were everywhere, weren't they? I've never seen so many together before. Father Thomas was so angry, but I think it's funny. Mommy says the twins did it, and they're an example of children who don't follow the 10 Commandments. Well, everyone makes mistakes. That's why we confess our sins and do penance. Does that mean they won't get in trouble with God? If they confess, then no, God will forgive them and they won't be in trouble. This is just going to teach her that she can do whatever she wants and confess afterwards. But, I mean, that's not my problem. Oh good, I like them, even if the adults have to scold them. Mom scolds me sometimes too when I do something bad. That's why I try to listen to her and behave and say my prayers. You're a smart girl, Christina. Thanks, Magda. Mommy says so too. Werner is just getting worse and worse. Is this like a pile of vomit that he's laying in? Jesus. Ugh. Werner? Hey, you'll freeze if you stay out here. Don't have the strength to carry him home. I have to tell someone. Maybe Baltus. They're still on friendly terms. Ignatiu could help. Or Big Jorg. He's strong. He can do it. Ugh, what a mess. I love how Apollo's just here. Could not give less of a shit. Hey Gret, did you know that Werner's passed out outside of your house? Wow, there's a trail of things going on. Can I pick up this money? There's money everywhere. Hey Magdalene, come to admire a well-chiseled craftsman at his best? Oh? Where? I can't see one. Ouch. I suppose I stepped into that one. Have you come to see the repairs I've been doing then? To tell the truth, it's not going as well as I'd hoped. What seems to be the issue? I assumed I'd hit a snag either when it came to the stone or the tools, or my lack of artistic skill. But it's more than that. It's like in my head. I can't see the right way. Besides, my dad wants me to help out on the farm more. I want to be there, but Grandpa taught me everything about the craft. He really wanted me to succeed, and I do enjoy the work. It's as if I can talk to the stone, you know? Not literally, but I can see how lines of tension flow through the rock. I understand how to form one thing from the other, how to create, make something that lasts. Grandma even offered to sponsor an apprenticeship under a master stonemason. Dad will support me either way, but I still feel like I'm pulled both directions at once, you know? Agnes is offering Croft a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. With the right master, he could really make something of himself. He should go. His family will be alright without him, right? If you can support your family and it makes you happy, it's the right choice. When you say it, it sounds the most reasonable way, doesn't it? But I still can't get away from the doubts. No one can fully escape their doubts, but don't let that stop you. God, I wish I had your confidence and fortitude. Did you learn all that from Klaus? Christ, this is hard. I don't know what to do. I think you should take the apprenticeship. It's better than staying in Tassing, right? And because I'm a dickhead, he's not going to listen to me. Which, fair enough, it's his life. He can ruin it if he wants to. Maybe I should have tried to convince him to stay, and then he would have gone and done the apprenticeship. I don't know, I like it here. And I have enough experience from Grandpa to keep going. Besides, if I'm gone, there will be no one to look after the town's stone. The church's foundation is in serious condition, and who's to say there won't be another flood come spring? Yeah, maybe they should have fixed that 18 years ago, when Lucky was talking about that, huh? No, I think I should stay. I'll have to tell Grandma I've made up my mind soon. Well, thanks for listening to me, Magdalene. That's what friends are for, right? Well, work beckons. Father Thomas asked me to reinforce the walls of the church. To be honest, I'd like to reuse stones from the ruins of the abbey, but Father Thomas forbids it. Says it's unseemly. It's just quality stone going to waste. I don't get it. A burnt ruin of an abbey is still a religious site. As is the church, so it'd only be like stones from one holy building to another. Alright, stay well. Until later, Magdalene. Till then, Kraft. Yeah, I wonder if he'd have done the opposite thing if I tried to persuade him the other way. There's like a whole trail of money here that nobody is picking up, which is very polite of them. I didn't notice. Yeah, it seems to just start up in the town commons. It doesn't like lead back to our place or anything. Or in the central town, rather. So we can't see what the first part of our mural looks like because it's covered up. Interesting. Ciao, Magdalene. Ciao, Natsu. Come stai? Bene, bene. The winter is approaching quickly, no? What is it you say here? Perch to pinching your nose. Haha, yes, that is the saying. Baltus has been explaining many of your funny Bavarian sayings to me. I must admit, they are rather charming, even if the language is a bit rough to my tongue. Will you be staying in Tassing long enough to learn more of our funny sayings? I should return to Genoa soon, but Baltus and I still have some business to conduct. It has taken longer than I anticipated to complete. His accounts are complex. I may be forced to remain a few more weeks. Dio, who knows? think this would be insulting. But we're gonna say it anyway. Are you sure the bookkeeping is correct? You've already been in Tassing for so long. Oh, yes. The numbers are perfectly correct. Balthus has many large accounts to manage, and many interests across the continent. I only wish to return to Genoa before any heavy snowfall. Otherwise my journey will take twice as long. I'll let you get back to work then. Grazie, Magdalene. Until later. Hello, Baltus. Do you have a moment? Only one, I'm afraid. What can I do for you? I came across a book about the history of Tassing, and I was hoping you could help me read it. Oh no, not today. I'm far too busy for that at the moment. Ignazio and I have our hands full preparing the Christmas ale, you see? Of course. Sorry to bother you. This is the other thing, that we need to find someone to help us read our book. And Werner said no. So he's also saying no. Sister Gertrude is going to be our last hope, I guess. Not at all. Apologies, I couldn't be of more help. How about Werner laying in the street? I found Dr. Stoltz passed out drunk in the commons, sleeping in a ditch. Ah, I see. This is becoming an increasing problem, isn't it? I shall fetch Natsu, and we will carry him home safely. Thank you for letting me know, Magdalene. Nod. Anything else to say? Someone took all the money. That was my money. I saw it first. Someone cleaned up the vomit, too. I'm a little sad that we couldn't talk to Ursula about the pagan myths last time when Peter gave us the idea to do so, and that was something that Andreas influenced. He had to convince her that it was worth learning about. I would have expected there to be a follow-up on that. And it was mentioned, but we didn't actually get to talk to her about it. Hello, Magdalene. Hello, Hans. Did you need something? Just wanted to see what you were doing. Well, I was just about to leave. I have to go meet Big Jorg soon. Why? Stuff in the forest needs doing. What are you two planning? Nothing. We're just carrying logs. Why would you do that? We lift big logs to see who's stronger. It's a contest. Does anyone else participate in this contest? Not usually. There aren't many others in Tassing strong enough, other than Big Jorg. Simon's big, like Sepp was, but he's not interested. He's always busy taking care of the farm. Maybe Apollo can join us one day. He's been getting stout the last few years. Alright, who's winning so far? Jorg, but barely. I've been gaining on him. He's growing older and softer with his council work. Haha. Huh, I see. Keeps a man hearty and vital, Dr. Stoltz says. Balances the humors. You're welcome to join us, Magdalene. I'm so small. I'm surprised you can even see me. I'm just so skinny. You happen to have small logs that would suit me. Plenty of trees in the forest. We'll find you what you need. Maybe it'd put some meat on those bones. Sure. Maybe I'll drop by someday. Christ, York will get a kick out of that. You really mean it, right? I should get back to work now. Until later, Magdalene. Until then. Sister Amelie isn't out at the moment. Lord bless you, Magdalene. And God bless you, Father Thomas. Do you have a moment? Of course. What can I help you with? I wanted to ask you about Tassing Saints. I'd like to represent them in the Rathaus. I'm thrilled to hear it. The Saints will make a wonderful centerpiece for the murals. No, not as a centerpiece, simply as part of Tassing's history. Of course, I consider our saints to be central to Tassing's history. Kearsel's, too. But you know there is one saint you're overlooking. Contemplate this. Why, the Blessed Virgin, of course, Mary. Many people forget that Mary is the greatest saint. And she visited one of the peasants here in Tassing centuries ago. This is the Our Lady of the Labyrinth depiction. But Andreas wondered, and I also wonder, what exactly the labyrinth is. The Virgin Mary appeared in Tassing. Why? Yes, she appeared to give a message. Centuries ago, a farmer in the fields behind us had 3 visions of Mary. In the first, she told him that she wanted him to tell the Bishop of Freising that she had appeared. The peasant traveled down to Freising, but the bishop would not see or hear him. Keep listening. The peasant returned to Tassing and had another vision in the field. The Virgin showed him a pattern, a labyrinth. She told him to draw it on a sheet of birch bark and bring the drawing to the Bishop of Freising. The bishop attempted to turn the peasant away, but he could see the drawing of the labyrinth in his hands. It was the same image that the bishop had seen in a dream 3 nights earlier. He met with the peasant, who told him of the 2 apparitions he had seen here in Tassing. The bishop was moved by the peasant's story, and he came here, to Tassing. The bishop came here. He did. It's the only time the bishop has ever come to Tassing. And when the bishop came, Mary appeared to both of them. She told the farmer that the town needed to build this church. She told the bishop to support the town. So what was the labyrinth? He just saw it in a dream, and then the peasant was like, I also have this drawing of this thing that you saw. Or does it have to do with the labyrinth of books that Andreas found in one of the books that we were reading long ago now? Was the town so poor they couldn't have built it on their own? Oh, I don't know, but certainly the support of the bishop must have made it much easier. And so the bishop helped fund the creation of this church. The people of Tassing have been using it ever since. You're not from Tassing. How did you hear this story? True, I am not. The people told me when I came. And the former priest told them when they were children, and so on. The priest and the flock have shared the responsibility of passing on the story over the centuries. Thank you for the story, Father Thomas. Have I convinced you to include the saints prominently in the mural? I'm still considering it. Well, if deliberation fails you, perhaps you will find that prayer gives you greater clarity. God bless you in your work, Magdalene. God bless you, Father Thomas. Hi, Magda. Need something? Maybe. I'm looking into the history of Tassing, so now we can talk to her. But we've already painted the pagans. Your grandpa said he told you a lot of things about the old ways. Can you recall anything? Yes, of course. I'm fortunate that both my grandfather and Ottilia taught me what they knew. Her mind was still so sharp, even until the end. I'm grateful I got to spend time with her before she passed. What do you remember from them? Grandpa told me all sorts of charms and things to do to protect against evil. But I imagine you're not interested in that. He said that it was Perchta who protected the forest from witches, not St. John. God and his saints have dominion over the town and the abbey, but Perchta still watches over all of our wild places. What about Saint Satya? Grandpa believes in the saints, just as he believes in Perchta. He said that Perchta's power is shown in certain places and times. There is no conflict for dominion between her and the saints. I see. And Ottilia knew all these old chants in another language. She told me what they meant, but she couldn't, translate them, I suppose. They had to do with Perchta, but also God and St. Moritz. So where did they come from? She didn't know, but I think I figured it out after she passed. There were some people coming through town, and I heard them speaking their language. It didn't quite sound like the words Ottilia used, but close. And they said that St. Moritz was the patron of their home, too. Really? Where were they from? Graubünden. They were Swiss. They said there was a holy spring in the town that had been blessed by St. Moritz. Oh, were they speaking Romansh? Oh, I don't know. I only ever heard it that one time. Other than from Ottilia, I mean. She said we all used to know the chants, the language, generations ago. I don't know. Maybe we weren't always the people here. What do you mean? Maybe we came from somewhere else. Our families, I mean. But people have been in Tassing since before the Romans came. That's what I've heard. People say the mine has been here forever. But, I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of things. Maybe there's no sense to be made of it. I don't know if any of that is useful to you. I'm glad Ursula told me all of this, but I can't imagine Father Thomas approves. It would probably be worse if an inquisitor heard about some of the things she believes. Should probably warn her not to be too free in who she talks to about the old ways. Well, I still have to decide what to paint, so it might be. Good. Not everyone appreciates hearing about these things. I know. You should be careful, Ursula. Why? Not everyone is as open-minded as I am. I just don't want you to get in trouble. Alright, I appreciate the concern. Thank you for your help. Anytime. I'll see you later. Till then. So I like that we did get the follow-up on that after all. I possibly spoke too soon. It's interesting. This connection that there might have been Swiss people that emigrated here. I'm not sure exactly of the history of Bavarian as a language, or a dialect of German rather, versus the various other German languages. Magdalene, dear, what brings you up the hill? Dad was telling me your family's been in Tassing for hundreds of years. Oh, is this for the mural? It would be a pleasure to see the Müllers featured in the Rathaus. They've been a pillar of Tassing for generations. But isn't Müller her married name? Though I'm afraid I only know a little bit about them. And much of that I've heard from others. Leonard didn't care to talk about the past. I meant your family, the one you were born to. Your family name was Kavitzel, wasn't it? Oh. Not a soul in town has asked me about my family in years. I was beginning to think my neighbors had forgotten us. I'm not surprised your father remembers the Kavitzels. He was sweet on my sister before he met your mother. I'm the last of us left now. Kavitzel doesn't sound like a local name. I was also thinking that. Why wouldn't it be? I'm Bavarian. It is my name, so it is a Bavarian name. No one else in town has a name like that. And shouldn't you be Kavitzelin? I've always been called Kavitzel, as were my sisters and mother, and her mother before her. My grandfather told me the Kavitzels have lived in this area for hundreds of years. Perhaps even 1,000, though it seems impossible to imagine a time so long ago. This is interesting because it does line up with what she was saying. Ursula thinks the families who arrived after the Romans came from somewhere else. Not Bavaria like we think. That's ridiculous. Ursula's family may well not be Bavarian, but mine is. What gave her that idea? I don't want to, get her in trouble. But having spoken a language in Switzerland isn't heretical or anything. It's the rest of the stuff that's heretical. It was something Ottilia Kemperin told her, that her family once knew old chants in a different tongue. Chants that she later learned from Swiss pilgrims might have been Romansh. Well, I would not trust Swiss pilgrims to tell me my heritage. But I am not a bitter old witch who hates the church, the town, and all the people in it. No doubt she would have loved for us to think everything we know about ourselves is wrong. I'm gonna make her mad. Kavitzel does sound very Swiss. It's not. I don't mean to be short with you, Magdalene. But when I think of the ancient Kavitzels driven from their land, only to find it again through Christ, they feel nearer to me. Do you understand? I think so. It's like when my dad tells me stories about courting my mom. I I don't remember her face, but when he tells me about her smile, I can almost recall it. Yes, it doesn't matter whether you really remember. When I sing my sister's favorite songs to Ulrike, I might not know all the words anymore, but that's alright. Just as I may not know exactly how the Kvitzels resettled Tassing. What matters is that I feel close to her and them, even though they are so far from me now. That is what stories are for, Magda. Now go on, you've got a mural to complete. Thank you, Elsa. You've given me much to consider, even though you didn't actually tell me anything about your family history at all, other than that they were driven from their land, which came out almost inadvertently at the end of the conversation, but that's more my fault than anything else for sticking with the Swiss idea. God bless you, Magdalene. Hello, Anna. How are you? Oh, keeping busy. There's always plenty to do around the house. How's the mural coming? Paul mentioned your progress is quite impressive. I'm making steady progress. I think I'll be finished just before the new year. Oh, how wonderful. I'll have to bring Andreas and Ulrike by sometime to see your progress. We won't get in your way, of course. I'm sure they'd love to learn about the process. You're all more than welcome, but watch your step. There's plaster everywhere. I've just mixed a new batch to keep the wall moist. It's hard to maintain the right texture when it's so cold out. Oh, I can imagine. I had a similar problem when I helped my mother in the bakery. Rolling dough in winter was such trouble. We had to throw out so many batches that wouldn't rise. Your discipline is admirable, Magdalene. You know, I was a real rascal back in the day. Skipped on working with my parents more times than I can count. So it wasn't Big Jorg who was the troublemaker? Oh no, Jorg has always been more hardworking than me. I was a thief and scoundrel. It started with cakes from my mother's table, still hot from the oven. Soon it was silverware, mugs, trinkets I found around town. Ulrike's little hat once even belonged to Andreas Mahler, your father's friend. I stole it from his head. Of course, stealing is against the commandments, so my father would make me return everything if I hadn't eaten it all already, and marched me to church to pray. Father Thomas grew accustomed to seeing me more often than Sunday mornings. What changed? I grew out of the habit over time. I think I started to see why my parents had such a devotion to the Lord. Stealing was my way of acting out. But when the trouble started in town, I realized that my thieving wasn't doing any good. I decided I'd rather honor my father and mother as God commands. It gives me grace with Andreas and Ulrike on the hard days, and with the rest of the town too. I think everyone can learn from your example, Anna. Hopefully from my present one rather than my past, haha. Well, I won't keep you any longer. I'm sure you have plenty of mural work to do. I'll see you later, Anna. God bless you, Magdalene. Yeah, it's cute that she gave the hat to Ulrika instead of little Andreas, so that they kind of both have an Andreas connection. Zeus in German is like sweet, so the dog's name is Sweetie or something like that. Hi, Mags. Sorry I can't talk for long right now. Magdalene? Oh, of course, Magdalene. I didn't mean to be impolite. It's alright. What's keeping you so busy? You know, it's almost December. Preparing for the festivities is busy time. Dad can't do it all alone. He pretends to be strong, but I think some of it is an act. He's growing older and sadder. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Don't really know how to help him. He doesn't talk about her much anymore. I think he's ashamed. I'm not, though. She was still my mom. You're right not to be ashamed. Thanks. That means a lot. Everyone does bad things sometimes, you know? When the monks were around, they told us all about God's forgiveness. Voislav talks about it a lot, too. So that's what I tried to do. Forgive. You've got a kind heart, Killian. Maybe. I just do what I think is right. How's your mural coming along anyway? I'm not sure Killian can forgive, his mom potentially killing someone else, but he can certainly forgive her for, like, messing up his family life, which I think is the more, like, close and personal issue. He may not even believe that his mom actually killed that person, which, for all I know, maybe she didn't. One step at a time. Learning about the history of Tassing is a challenge. Heh, at least you can read in other languages. What if there's a history of Tassing in one of those books that no one here knows about? Well, that's literally true, and we have it in our possession, so good job. Hardly. I don't think this town has ever been important enough. Suppose so. Even though we do have a history of the town in Latin, so you're right. Oh, I'm sorry, Magdalene. I really have to get back to work. Be well. I like these guys and their colorful clothing. Can't talk. I see. I'm Katzenir, musician with Alexander. I'm Magdalene Druckerin. I live here in town. Are you Polish? It's a lot of writing for yes or no. Yes. From Kalit. Is that an F? Or an S? From Kalitz, I'll say. What are you two doing in Tassing? Ask Alexander. Sorry. Alright, I won't take up any more of your time. Why is he not allowed to talk? Thanks. God bless you. Ah, hello. Are you one of the burgers? My man and I are in need of refreshments. No, I just live nearby. I'm Magdalene Druckerin. Ah, from the print shop we passed on the way into town. Yes, I'm running it for my father while he's recovering from an injury. Terribly sorry to hear that. I hope he has a swift recovery. Thank you. Not much business for a print shop at this time of the year, is there? nor for a land house. Looks like the travel has all dried up. How did you wind up here? You don't look like a merchant. Ha, no, I should think not. No, this was just a stop on my way back to Würzburg from Padua. I'm Alexander. This is my partner, Kazimierz. We are musicians by trade, travelers by necessity. We just purchased a new instrument for Kazimierz. I'm just going to call him Casimir. For Casimir in Padua. Their luthiers are extraordinary. We're heading back to Würzburg for the Christmas celebration. Quite an important competition there for the Master singers. The weather turned rotten so quickly. The rain has been awful, and the roads through the passes have all been mud. I don't know if we'll be able to make it to the competition now. The passes do close before we're able to move on. Will they open up soon? I'm afraid not. Once the pass is snowed in, you're going to be waiting a while. I was afraid you'd say that. Suppose I should plan for us to stay here through the winter. Sorry, Kaz. It's alright. Do the people here like music? Yes, of course. Excellent. Then we will endeavor to entertain you and your neighbors with our songs. I look forward to hearing it. Thank you. Until then. Hello again. So his partner. Not his servant. Hello, Magdalene. What brings you to my humble inn? I'm on my way to the Abbey. Thought it would be helpful to explore the ruins for the mural. Ah, Kiersau. It was an impressive sight in its day. A shame you never got to see it. Lots of history to be uncovered there, no doubt. You mind yourself in that place. Could collapse any day now. Don't worry, Nico. I'll be careful. I imagine it'll be like an adventure from one of those fairy stories. Scrabbling over rubble, uncovering trinkets and mysteries. You remind me of Johanna in that. She was headstrong. Fierce when she needed to be. The mural is coming along fine otherwise. The more I learn, the better it gets. Good, good. Can't say I understand much about art, but we all appreciate the work you're doing. What with your dad's... Well, I won't keep you from your adventure then. Besides, I've the inn to clean. Do you have someone to help you? Oh, I don't want to take up your time. Killian will lend a hand. Johanna was good at keeping me straight. So Hannah is short for Johanna. She kept this place spotless. If you don't mind me asking, how did you two meet? Oh, memories. We were so young, in Passau. It's to the east. I first saw Hannah doing laundry beside the river, just south of the Niedenberg Abbey. The way the sun hit her face off the water, she sparkled. Couldn't get her out of my mind. She was a wit in conversation, too, with a bold temperament that shone through it every so often. We courted. I spoke to her father. A happy day. You miss her a lot? I do. We didn't have a plan when we married. That we settled in Tassing was happenstance. When Killian was old enough to travel, we happened to pass through on our way to Zurich. As there was time to spare, we visited Kiersau, and of course the shrine of the Hand of St. Moritz. Her eyes lit up. She said God had blessed us with an opportunity. The town had no inn then. We proposed the land house to the abbot, and he gladly accepted. Hana and I were happy. So happy. Those first years must have been hard. Oh, they were impossible. Would you believe the money it takes to build a lawn house? Still, they were good years. God laughs in the face of mortal plans. And then Hana leaped into the arms of that fucking miller. I didn't know what to do. We had Killian to look after, the land house. I loved her, so I let it happen. Anyway, then Otto was killed, and Andreas fucking Mahler couldn't help but get himself involved. But I suppose in the end, Hana's death was a blessing of a sort. It's horrible to admit it, I know, but I didn't see any other way out. The misery would have gone on until we died or killed each other. You don't know that. Nothing lasts forever. Only the Lord is eternal. But I've kept you too long with my talking. You have the Abbey to explore, after all. It was good talking, Nico. Thank you for sharing Johanna's story with me. You did me the favor, Magdalene. I won't forget it. Till later. Till then. But it's still so beautiful here, Martha. One more moment. Alright, take your time. Oh, hello, Magdalene. Dad, look who it is. Good morning, Mr. Strookerin. Hello, Martha. Carl, how are you today? On our usual walk around town. November hasn't grown too cold yet. Dr. Stoltz says Dad needs to keep using the leg or the pain will get worse. I'm getting old. You're not so old you can sit around at home telling stories. You're about the same age as my dad, aren't you? Ha! Klaus has always been too stubborn to grow old. Shame what happened to him. As if you're not stubborn too. No arguments from me there. Peter survives through sheer stubbornness. Given that the alternative is Werner, I'm glad to have something. Can't even find his ass with both hands. Dad. What? Anton would have made a better doctor than him. Ah, Anton, my poor boy. It's alright, Dad. I'm sorry, Carl. I'm not gonna be like, you still miss your son? Like, obviously he's not gonna stop missing his son. It's not your fault, Magdalene. Just a babe, then. I can't. It's my fault that he died. It's not, Dad. You know it's not. He shouldn't have been with me that night. He shouldn't have... I was a fool. The Abbey was engulfed in flames. The heat, you wouldn't believe it, seared the hair off my eyebrows. I was bleeding. Anton tried to drag me out of the fight. Then that godforsaken Landsknecht stepped between us. I hope he burns in hell. Can't even imagine what that was like. How old were you during the revolt, Martha? 7 or so. I didn't understand what was happening. Someone brought Dad home in the middle of the night. It was dark, confusing. There was screaming outside. Mom and a couple of the men who brought Dad in were trying to patch up the wound, but it wouldn't stop bleeding. She kept shouting, "Where's Anton? Where's Anton?" There was blood on the floor. You cried so much you threw up. We couldn't get you to stop. I couldn't understand where Anton had gone. Dad tried to explain, but... Martha, my dear, enough of that. I'm so sorry. How did you go on? Did I? I don't know. Some nights I think I am there still. The abbey is always burning. My Helena passed not long after. I was left alone with Martha to care for. I had to keep going for Martha, and somehow my daughter grew into a wonderful woman despite it all. I suppose that was all Helena's doing. Dad, if I'm any good, it's because of you. Thank you for telling me about the night, Carl, Martha. Time doesn't heal, Magdalene, but it does dull the ache. It's time we continued with the walk, Dad. Yes, dear. I'm feeling much more alive now. Be well, you two. It's good to start talking to some of them about everything that happened, since we're going to need to depict the revolt as well later on. If we find any pigs in the woods, now we know we just need to immediately run away so that we don't get caught near them. I should talk to Sister Gertrude, since she was a Benedictine nun at Kiersau before the poor Clares arrived. She would be able to tell me all about the convent's history for the mural. Maybe also help translate our book. Yeah, so they were displaced from their land by the Romans, but returned to the same spot as Christians after the Romans left. She did not actually tell us this, but it's good that we learned it anyway, or rather, Magdalene learned it even if we ourselves didn't. God bless you, Magdalene. Hello, sister. I have a favor to ask of you. Of course, Magdalene. I'll help however I can. I have a book, the Historia Taciae, and I can't read it very well. Can you help me translate it? Oh, I'm afraid my Latin isn't good enough to translate something like that. Its grammar structures are far too complex. I'm sorry, Magdalene. That's all right, sister. I'll have to find another way. So nobody can help me then? Like, surely some of these nuns have to be able to read Latin, right? There was one more thing, if you don't mind. It's about the Rathaus mural. Oh, did you need more paint? Believe I have enough galls stored away. No, thank you, sister. I have more than enough paint. I wanted to ask you about the history of Kiersau, actually. I'd like to include the abbey's founding in the history of tassing saints to the Rathaus mural. I wrote to Reverend Mathieu, since he lived at the abbey, but wanted to see the place firsthand. Ah, Brother Mathieu became a reverend, did he? He was always suited to such a role. But I don't suppose that's what you came up the hill for. You're curious about the saint's history, yes? Yes, I was hoping you could show me around the convent and tell me about its history. The poor Clares don't allow outsiders within the convent, even other women. Mother Francisca wouldn't like anyone coming in for such a worldly concern. I understand. However, Mother Francisca always welcomes those who are considering joining the order. If a young woman sincerely considered joining the convent, she may be allowed to enter and observe the sisters. Who knows what else she may discover while contemplating the holy life, Ah, yes, I see. Touring the convent will take some time. Would you like to go see Mother Francisca now? No, I have other things to do first. Very well. Come find me if you change your mind. God bless you, Magdalene. We'll try and do everything else first. It will be a shame if we can't get anyone to help us with this book. Maybe if we'd been nicer to Werner. I don't know. Oh, Father Thomas? That was my other option. So, Father Thomas it is, I guess. Hello, Father Thomas. Can you spare a moment? Yes, of course, Magdalene. What is it? Well, I found this book, but I can't read the Latin very well. Could you help me translate it? The whole book? Oh dear, I can't afford that much time away from my duties right now. The Christmas sermon is coming up, and I've already fallen behind on Advent preparations. Could the matter wait, perhaps? I'd be happy to look it over after the festivities. I suppose. Good, good. No. Everyone is too distracted by their own work or doesn't know Latin well enough to read the Historia Taciae. Suppose I won't be able to use it as a reference for the mural after all. So we've basically failed this quest, which really sucks. But I can't think what else we could have done to not fail the quest. Because even with Werner, he just straight up said no. It wasn't like a persuasion check or like, as far as I could tell, like, we were a dick to him, that's true. So maybe if we hadn't been rude to him when we talked to him before, it might have changed something. But again, like, there wasn't a persuasion option. Unless it's like something to do with just the world state, from what we did as Andreas, but I don't think I was unkind to him as Andreas. I think that Andreas was, like, fairly nice to him. We asked him for help, and he was rude to us. But, like, I don't think we gave him in kind when we were playing Andreas. So I don't know what else we could have done. But, it's sad that we can't use the book as a reference, even though we ourselves know some Latin. But, oh well, them's the breaks, I guess. Recovering the book was a lot easier than I thought it would be, and then getting someone to help with it is a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. So we can't, like, sneak into here on our own. Which means we will just do Gertrude's thing. Mother Francesca, I'd like to introduce Magdalene Druckerin. The printer's daughter, yes. God bless you, Magdalene. Father Thomas told us of your father's condition, and we pray for his recovery daily. Oh, thank you, Abbess. Such is our duty to serve the Lord in the community that provides for us. Now, what is this about? Sister Gertrude, you know our holy rules. Why bring young Mistress Druckerin to me? Forgive me, Mother. Magdalene is searching for a place in the world, and is contemplating the holy life. I thought observing the sisters might aid her in her spiritual search. She was encouraged by the idea. Right, yes. Ah, so you've decided to consider my offer after all. If God is calling you to the convent, I am more than willing to help you fulfill that divine cause. What brought this change on? Why are you interested in joining the Poor Clares? So both of these options are like, I want to run away from my responsibilities. This one is a lie. She previously told us that she thought we should join the convent because our vocation, like this part, is like not suitable for a woman. So even though it's like running away from the responsibilities, it might be more compelling for her, so we'll go with this one. I'm worried that helping my father, running the shop alone, and finishing the mural are too much for me. Magdalene, you should not abdicate your worldly duties for fear of the unknown. However, I agree that working a printing shop and painting are not suitable duties for a woman. Thank God you have turned to us for help. It is no wonder you have felt overburdened by all of this. Please come, I am happy to tell you more of our order. It's pretty in here. Our small convent used to be part of the larger Kiersal double monastery, as I'm sure you've been told by Sister Gertrude. However, the Poor Clares live far differently than the Benedictines that once lived here. We believe that it is not ours to produce, and live solely on the alms of the community of Tassing, as they see fit to give. Likewise, none of the sisters here own any personal property. We share this convent as a gift from the Church. We believe that the Lord called us into a life of poverty and service. Does such a life appeal to you, Magdalene? I'm not entirely certain yet. I'd like to explore and look around, get a feel for the place. Magdalene, you must not have understood me. We have deliberately closed ourselves off from the world. I won't have a laywoman bothering the sisters from their duties or disturbing our rule. However, I will allow Sister Suzanne to show you our duties. Please take your time. When you have finished, please come find me and we will discuss your decision to join. Finally, I thought she'd never finish. What? Truthfully, I'm not here to join the convent. I'm looking for references for a mural I'm painting in the Rathaus. So, Very subtle, Magdalene. Very sneaky and stealthy. Well, I'm going to take a look around. Where are we going first? The convent has many parts. The kitchen, the loquarium, the chapter house, the yard, and the old workshop, though no one uses that old shed anymore. I'll leave it to you to decide where to go first. She's petting, Mousefinger, who is very old at this point. So there's the kitchen, the courtyard, the chapel, and the loquarium. So we'll just start from left to right. This is the kitchen. There's not anything that interesting here. Sister Marie and Sister Ilebo take care of most of the kitchen duties, but everyone pitches in when needed. Isabeau. God bless you, Magdalene. God bless you, sister. How goes the cooking? As well as the Lord wills it. My old fingers fumble from time to time, but it is my privilege to prepare supper for the other sisters. That's very noble of you. Just as God gave Paul a thorn in his side, so too did he give me the pains of age to strengthen my faith. Such things are a blessing when compared to the pains Christ carried upon the cross. But didn't Christ die so that we don't have to suffer unnecessarily? In the next life, yes. But even Christ said we would face hardships while we live on this earth. I have chosen to find meaning and devotion to the Lord through my hardship. Thank you for sharing your perspective with me, sister. You are most welcome, child. God bless you. God bless you, child. Are you delivering something? Oh, I'm considering joining the convent, so Mother Francesca graciously allowed me to visit with you. Hallelujah! Glory and praise be to God. You've brought such joy to me this day, child. I haven't actually joined yet, sister. Do you have a strong stomach? Perhaps you can help Sister Isabeau and me in the kitchens. I enjoy preparing meals for the sisters that nourish us, but I can never bring myself to butcher the animals. Sister Isabeau has graciously taken on that task for me. We need sustenance, but I feel butchering any animal is wrong, according to the rule of St. Francis. To cause suffering to any living creature is unnecessary and evil, even if God granted Adam and Eve dominion over the animals. The kitchen seems fairly simple. Is there anything here from the convent's founding days? No more than the structure itself, I'm afraid. Cookware needs replacing over the years. Though some nights a ghost appears to me by the cook fire. A lost spirit trapped between heaven and hell. Sister Marie, not this again. Not to Magdalene, please. This is interesting that she is saying Saint Tassia and not Saint Satya, because Tassia was the name of the nymph. What made you think you saw a spirit, sister? The figure rose up through the very ground we stand on at vigils not a fortnight ago. Dawn and dusk are the hours when the boundaries between this world and the spiritual world are weakest. We may be the newest arrivals, but this convent is very old. Perhaps there was something Roman underneath this foundation centuries before. This spirit may seek to know the preference of God now that it rests on holy ground. The presence of God. A spirit in Kiersau. Why would it come to the convent, though? It breaks my heart to think this spirit was crying out for help, trapped beyond heaven's reach. Why don't we keep going, Magdalene? It's better not to get Sister Marie too upset. Of course. God bless you, sister. God bless you, child. Brr, it's colder today. There's not much in the yard that could help you, I think. Anything that was here has long been covered in weeds. All I know about this place is that the walls were added when the convent was built onto the monastery. Oh, God bless you, Sister Benedicta. Sister Suzanne, God bless you. Ugh, this ice is hard. Do I recognize you, Sister Benedicta? I think I've seen you in town once or twice. Yes, you'd have seen her. Sister Benedicta is the youngest of the sisters. Mother Francesca allows only one sister to deal with the townsfolk. Benedicta received this privilege. Burden, more like. I have to run around everywhere, gathering all the food and doing all the chores. I'd rather be inside where it's warm. What are you doing up in the convent, anyway? Mother Francesca said I could look around. Oh, well, don't let me get in the way, then. Actually, Sister Benedicta, I wanted to ask you some questions. Do you like being a nun? Oh yes, I don't mind it at all. It's far quieter than home, and I don't have to share my bed with my siblings anymore. I like to help the older sisters, and I don't mind the chores, except when it's cold like this. One more question, Sister Benedicta. Have you seen any mysterious figures or ghosts lately? Ghosts? No, everything's been normal recently. I haven't noticed anything odd. Is this about Sister Marie's ghost? I think it's Mauritius myself. Oh no. Who? Mauritius. Don't tell Mother Francesca this, but I found an old book about Christian legends hidden in the workshop. It said that a Roman commander named Mauritius conquered Tassing, but the colony failed. So this is St. Moritz. Mauritius would be like the Latin name. Most of the town was empty until Christian refugees found the town hidden in the valley. It was a miracle. I wonder if this is a different retelling of St. Moritz saving Tassing. Oh, maybe. I don't remember if the book mentioned any saints. The Latin was hard to read. Anyway, when Sister Marie said she saw a ghost, I thought it must be Mauritius trying to get us out. A Roman ghost couldn't be happy about his tower being turned into an abbey, could he? What did you do with this book, sister? Oh, well, I had it with me in the kitchen one day, and I accidentally laid the fire poker on it. Stare in shock and horror. Sister Benedicta! I tried to fix it, but it's unreadable now. Sorry, Magdalene. I can't. I mean, how could... Oh, never mind. Your story does give me an idea for the Rathaus mural, at least. Maybe I can preserve the tale there. Thanks for telling me about the books, sister. I won't tell Mother Francesca. God bless you, sister. Thanks, Magdalene. God bless you. The art studio. The workshop is covered in dust. Yes, this was the Benedictine sisters' workshop. They used to make badges and art for pilgrims coming to see the hand of St. Moritz. Looks like everything was just left here after the fire. Nothing's been used in years. We can't subsist on painting, and the poor Clares don't produce goods for sale, so we have no reason to be in here. But art allows us to find beauty in life. Even Christ said the Father clothed the lilies of the field in beauty. I agree, but that's not the rule of the Poor Clares. Mother Francisca considers art a temptation into hedonism. Mother Francisca doesn't let us come in here, unless to put something in storage. I've come in a few times and noticed some of the brushes have gone missing. Paint pots, too. You think one of the sisters is secretly painting? Oh, God, no. We all live too close together in the convent for something like that to go unnoticed. In any case, I think it's sad the workshop is left like this. Truthfully, Magdalene, I don't think you should join the convent, even if that's not what you were here to do anyway. Gertrude talks about you, and you seem to love your art. Without it, you'd hate it here. Such valuable paint left to dry and crack on the palettes. There's an old parchment scrap here. It's different from the others. It looks like a scrap from a manuscript. There's something written in Latin in the margin. Mithraeum Tassiae, something occultus est. So this is the word we keep seeing, the building, the structure that was in the middle of Tassing in the Roman times. In here it's saying the Mithraeum of Tassing had been destroyed by a flood. Mithraeum. That's the same word I saw in the Roman section of the mine, and in the book. Wait, this might be from the book Sister Benedicta found. I wonder why it would mention the Mithraeum. I don't know. It's not a word I've ever heard before. There's certainly nothing in the convent by that name. Well, the note says the Mithraeum was destroyed, so I suppose it doesn't matter much now. It does matter. I'm interested in it. If only we could read our book. These old badges are beautiful. I hope the pilgrims who bought them love them too. I mean, this is something about the history of the abbey, so wonder why we... Oh, here we go. This is the chapel where we all gather for Mass and liturgy. It's the oldest part of the convent, and the most drafty. Hello again, Sister Gertrude. The sisters have done some minor retouches over the years, but it has represented the abbey from its earliest days. Oh, there's the tower in the library. The cloister is still being constructed here. Yes, the tower was a Bergfried long before the structure became a monastery. The duchy gifted it to the Benedictine order after the Holy Roman Empire grew. They had no use for it as a keep. These walls have protected Tassing from attacks of spirit and steel for generations. There's Latin here too. God called Lady Sabine to lead our sisters and brothers in 1261. Lord Kiersau's castle was destroyed by fire in the year of the death of Emperor Frederick II. Only the tower remained. Well done, Magdalene. Yes, the first lists of the abbey's founding date. The Lady Kiersau was actually the one to suggest the old castle be turned into a double monastery. We added the second shortly after the revolt. Mother Illuminata thought it would be fitting. Even if the sisters were not here, some record of what occurred would remain. Kiersau is unique, a double monastery with 2 saints, one male and one female, to guard the town and abbey. So the foundation of the abbey was even older than the Holy Roman Empire. Many things have been built and torn down on this land over generations. Who knows what else used to be here? You were right, sister. This mural will be a great reference for the Rathaus. Then I'm glad to have helped. God bless you, Magdalene. Here's the loquarium. Most of the abbey's visitors come in here, but aren't allowed to enter. We aren't allowed to go into the outside world, either. Like Mother Francisca said, isolation is a part of our vows. Then how come Sister... Oh, okay. How come Sister Gertrude can come out with us and, like, pick things off the ground? Sister Gertrude once told me the old Benedictine sisters used to go out into town sometimes, and even talk to men on occasion. And I'm stuck here, staring at these walls for the rest of my life. It doesn't seem like Sister Suzanne thinks much of her life here. I can't blame her. Even so, she doesn't seem to have the passion that Sister Gertrude and the others have. If she hates her life here so much, maybe I should encourage her to leave the order. Better to leave while she has a future ahead of her. After all, there are plenty of young men in Bavaria who would make good husbands. Still, there may be some reason she chose to stay. I don't want to overstep my bounds. You didn't always want to be a poor Clare, sister. Ha! No, who would want to be a nun? My father promised me to the church as a baby, some oath he swore when my mother struggled in her pregnancy. So there I was, dropped into the poor Clares the summer I turned 17. I'm so sorry. No one should be forced into a life they don't want. We daughters are born to bear our family's legacy. Between our legs or on our backs, it doesn't matter. My family is devoted to the church. I've only been in the convent for 2 years, but I'm trying my best. I don't mind the prayers or the hours, and I'm sure of my devotion to the Lord, but this isn't what I wanted. But since when did a woman ever get what she wanted without being punished? Eve couldn't even manage it. I understand. I have more autonomy to go where I want, but I'm still bound by the expectations of marriage and homemaking. I remember the days of running around town. I wish I could have gotten married. I wanted to be a mother. Sometimes I get jealous of Sister Gertrude, and even Sister Margaret. At least they got to see something of the outside world before they were 20. I'm gonna bring this up as a very subtle, like, other people left kind of thing. Don't forget Matilda and Voislav. They used to be part of Curacao too. Oh yeah, them too. Thanks for listening, Magdalene. Anyway, let me show you the rest of the cloister. Lead on. Well, you've seen the entire convent. There's not much here. What do you think of it? I can see why people choose the holy life, but it's not for me. Not without art. I understand. You've dedicated your whole life to your work. You'd struggle to give that up now. It's been so long since I've spoken to anyone from outside the convent. I'm reminded of the life I once had. Now you have me thinking about whether or not I should remain with the sisters. I think you should go. Oh, so bringing them up was in fact the wrong decision. I thought it would subtly be like, oh yeah, other people left, so you could leave if you wanted to. Damn, we're really bad at convincing people. Thanks. Your family just left you here. You don't owe the sisters anything. I do, though. The sisters have taken care of me. They love me, and I love them. Even if this life wasn't my choice, they accepted me. Who knows? Maybe it will get better in time. Maybe. I'll try to help any way I can, even if it's just sneaking around the convent wall to say hello. Really? That would be wonderful, so long as no one found out. Anyway, we should return to Mother Francisca before she suspects something. I learned a lot today. Thank you for showing me around the convent. No, thank you, Magdalene. Today has been more interesting than any I can remember in the Abbey. Come, let's find Mother Francisca. She'll be wanting to hear what you thought of the place. Well, Magdalene, what is your assessment of the poor Clares? Is the good Lord calling you to a life with us as a sister? I think I prefer my books and printing. And in any case, I need to finish the mural. Then I might take over for my father. I see. Be careful that this mural does not become an idol for you, Magdalene. Just as Eve had a weaker will than Adam, you are liable to stumble on the fruit of temptation as well. Our community is quite modest compared to the splendor of an old Benedictine house operating under the rule of a powerful abbot. I see why fewer women are drawn to the order these days. Thank you for allowing me inside. You are most welcome, Magdalene. God bless you. Magdalene, how did your little expedition go? Well, I learned about the poor Clares, but not as much about the history of the Abbey as I wanted. But sister, there's something I don't understand. The Abbey was so prosperous. Why didn't the monks rebuild it after the fire? What a talk that would be. The chapel was beautiful. The stained glass always caught my eye in the mornings. There was a great deal of anger and sadness in Tassing that night. The abbot felt the brothers and sisters were no longer welcome in Tassing, and moved on. In truth, the abbey's dissolution was inevitable. Kearsall was running out of money and patrons. The riot and fire were simply a particularly awful and painful way to end the monastery. Did anything survive the fire? Some of the buildings are intact, but all are terribly overgrown. I haven't dared forage in the rubble. I doubt you'd find anything of help for your mural inside, other than charred wood and parchment. Might still be worth taking a look if I'm careful. I worry after you sometimes, Magdalene. I really do. Thank you for all your help, Sister Gertrude. You are most welcome, Magdalene. God bless you. So we might be able to find more about the Mithraeum in the Abbey, even though we couldn't read the Historia Tassiae to find out more about it. I liked Suzanne. It would be good if we can keep up, like, meeting with her. Well, that was... I don't know. I did learn more about the founding of Curacao. And that illustration from the manuscript, the Mithraeum, it was like the one in the mine. Is it part of the history of the Abbey of Tassing? It must be written down somewhere. If only the library hadn't burned down with everything in it. The ruins are right there. Maybe not everything was destroyed. Mother Illuminata did say that Andreas had saved some of them. So, we'll go take a look. Let's do it. My god, this is amazing. I wonder what it must have looked like before the fire. Everything collapsed in the fire. We'll have to be careful climbing over this rubble to get past. You know, that's not how I would have done it, Magdalene. Oh shit. Yeah, that's definitely not how I would have done that. Oh no, I can't get back up there. If I climb, it might collapse further. I'll have to find another way out. There's nothing left of the old staircase. I guess I can't go this way. These vines go all the way to the top, though. They look sturdy enough to hold my weight. Well, there's no other way out. Yeah, this is a very, questionable decision. I definitely, would have gone about that a different way if I were Magdalene. See all of Tassing from here. I wonder if I can piece together the foundations of the Abbey and find a way to get to the library. I bet I could get down this way. The roof looks pretty stable. Is Magdalene also gonna perish in the library like Andreas? At least we are outside of the building now, so we could definitely leave. Oh, God. I remember when the library burned down. Dad told me I was just a baby, but I remember the flames coming out of the windows. So many people were screaming and running around. I cried myself to sleep that night. I haven't seen this place since then. It doesn't look like there's anything left inside. I suppose it was too much to hope for. Well, Magdalene, how are you gonna get out of here? These roses seem to have made the abbey their home. I'm glad something beautiful is still growing here. Wonder if they buried Brother Brother Matthias with the book. In his mysteriously wooden headstone. So this is all overgrown. Cats! I wonder if there were always this many cats at the Abbey. Perhaps I can ask Voislav what he remembers during his time here. This place is a mess. How sad. Door's stuck. I can't get through this way. Oh. Someone's definitely drawn on this. Oh, an old mural. It's worn, but I can still see some of the figures. The Dance of Death? What? These figures look new. The paint can't be more than a few years old. Someone's been adding to this. So this is Ferenc and his, like, occult rituals. This is Otto. This is Hannah. There's Andreas. Or is that Casper? It kind of looks more like Casper, and that's Andreas. Burning in the fire. Did Casper die? Would that make this the Baron? This feels wrong. Who would add new figures to the Dance of Death, and why? These look like people from the town, from here. People who died. That must be the Baron. And that's Otto. Wait, is that... There's someone here. Hello? Who are you? What the heck? And then we have this again. Someone holding a book. And then reaching out. I do think that's Andreas and Casper. That's really sad if he, like, came back and died trying to get the books with Andreas. Door couldn't have been stuck that much if this other person got through. Door! Whoever was watching me must have opened it. I don't like this. I think I've seen everything left of the Abbey. I want to get out of here. Yes, I did fail to convince Casper to leave. He said that he was leaving, and then we didn't see him afterwards. Like, we didn't see him come back or anything like that. But it's almost certainly... If he did, in fact, perish in the fire, which it looks like the mural is saying that that's what happened, it happened because we were nice to him, and we should have just been a dick the whole time. When did it start snowing? I Should get back to the rod house and get back to work. Maybe that's how those books Andreas got survived. Yeah. I mean, he is holding the books, but it also looks like Casper died. Although there was like an arrow impaling his chest, so maybe he actually didn't die in the fire, and he took the books away and then got shot by, like, the soldiers or something. Equally depressing. Casper's life for the books. You know who I think would add to the Dance of Death? Father Thomas. My #1 suspect in everything. Andreas would trade any life for the books. Certainly traded his own. And it did sound like he was totally willing to trade the abbot's life for the books as well. He just didn't want to say it out loud to everyone. But I don't know. Casper might be different. He didn't want that for him, but he was too nice to not have earned Casper's undying loyalty to the books. So we can't ask Voislav about what we were saying. What was it that we were going to ask him about? I don't know. I don't remember. Oh, the cats. There were always cats at the Abbey. Which, you know, isn't that important of a question, actually. I'm gonna confront Father Thomas for following us around and probably get murdered for it. Good day, Father Thomas. God bless you, Magdalene. Might I have a word with you, Father? Of course, Magdalene. What's the matter? I've heard you still disapprove of my taking over the Rathaus mural. Ah, I see you spoke with Mother Francisca. I never meant for my discussion with the abbess to be taken for gossip, Magdalene. However, I am worried about your attitude toward your work. You displayed quite the insistence when you took up the project. An insistence that neither Mother Francisca nor I agree is healthy. So you and Mother Francisca tried to convince me to join the Poor Clares. Magdalene, you are severely lacking the wisdom to understand your situation. Your father is in no condition to guide you, and you've gone motherless for most of your life. Mother Francisca and I are merely doing what we think is right. You need some sort of guidance. We agreed that you might be more open to the idea if Mother Francisca presented it. You know what? He's not going to help us with Latin, and he's a murderer, and he probably attacked our dad. So, I'm just going to say it. You're a gossip and a meddler, Father. Stop trying to influence my decisions and leave me to my mural. I apologize, Magdalene. I did not mean to overstep my bounds. The Lord called me to act, so I did. Is that what you did when you got all those people killed decades ago? Did he call you to act then? Thank you, Father. God bless you, Magdalene. Yeah, he's definitely, like, he's gonna come after us for sure. Maybe we should have, appealed to Ertz more and tried to get him to protect us from Father Thomas. Welp. I think we've learned everything we could, since we can't read the book, sadly. Nobody wants to help us. We have to do it all by ourselves. So we'll just go paint our mural. Did Werner get home? Will he help us now? No, he's still busy throwing up on the floor and turning up all the pots in his house and throwing bloody rags everywhere. Somebody sent him flowers. That was nice of them. He didn't even put them anywhere. Just left them bundled up. If only the monks were still here, they could have helped us with our Latin. Magdalene. Dr. Stoltz. So you're doing quick work with the mural, eh? I hope that doesn't make you sloppy. Trying to finish it in time for Dad. You understand? You best work quickly then. He doesn't have much time left. Thanks for the encouraging words as always, Doctor. In any case, the Council wants to hear what you're doing. I've been researching the early Christian history of Tassing after the Romans left. Learning how people settled in the ruins, how the Abbey was founded, why our saints are so important to us. It was a lot to take in, but I've settled on my subject. And? So we have Saint Moritz, Saint Satya, and Our Lady of the Labyrinth receiving the Christian settlers. I want to show history as it happened. I'll paint Lady Kiersau founding the abbey from the old Bergfried. I'll paint the Bavarians settling among the Roman ruins, starting the Christian history of Tassing. I'll paint the Christians arriving from Graubünden to settle among the Roman ruins. So this is not true. This is possibly true to history, but would definitely be very controversial. And this is going for the more like mythological retelling. I think that I want this one. I'm also really curious about what the finished mural is going to look like, or what influence the decisions are going to have. Like, would people, if we did something like this and made, like, alienated Elsa and some of the other members of the town, like, what consequence is that going to have in the end? Doing this one would obviously please Father Thomas. In doing this one, might make him, more likely to murder us in the end. But this is what I want to go with, I think. I want to show history how it happened. I'll paint Lady Kiersau founding the abbey from the old Bergfried. That might rub some people in town the wrong way. The saints are a core part of Tassing's history, after all. By some people in town, he definitely means Father Thomas. People want to cling to all manner of stories in order to give their lives some meaning. Remember, the mural isn't for your benefit, but to make Tassing look good. I remember. Very well. After this section, there's still so much work to do. I haven't even figured out how I'm going to portray the revolt. Ah, yes. I imagine it poses difficulties that the other murals do not. It is a strange thing to tell a story that still lives in the hearts of so many people here. I don't think anyone wants to talk about it. They've all just locked it away. Sounds like you have your work cut out for you. I'll leave you to it then. Oh, Dr. Stoltz. Yes? Have you ever seen someone lurking around the Abbey? Or heard about it? I haven't been up to the Abbey in years. No, I haven't heard of anything like that. Why? I've seen someone following me. A few times. No, I don't know anything about it. Now, if there's nothing else... Again, asshole. He just doesn't give a fuck. I'm really curious if we could have done something to make him less of a dick. But I can't think of what we could have done differently as Andreas. Dad always talked about how the Archdeacon was the only one seeking justice in those days. But what was his name? The only name I can remember is the name of the Archdeacon who came to Tassing when that Baron was killed. Jakob Essler. Maybe he wrote an account of the revolt as an Archdeacon. I'll write to him and ask. And of course I need to write back to Esther too. I'll write them tonight before bed. It's interesting that we can always leave during this part. But so far, there hasn't been anything new when we've done that. It's a little scary living so close to a murderer, you know? I wish we could, board our doors up or something. He's definitely gonna, come in. And we're gonna face the consequences of our actions one way or another. Oh, there is something. Hello, Magdalene. Hello, Hans. Oh. Nope, nothing. Okay, we'll just get to our writing then. Alright, where to begin? I'll write to the Archdeacon, Jakob Essler, and see if he can tell me about the revolt. I'll write a letter to Esther, too. I hope the courier can make it through the passes before winter. Jakob Essler, formerly Archdeacon of Freising. My name is Magdalene Druckerin. I'm an artist in the town of Tassing in Upper Bavaria. I believe you passed through our community when you investigated Baron Rothvogel's murder at Kiersau Abbey in 1518. Do you remember anything about that case that the people in Tassing might not remember? In particular, do you remember anything about someone writing notes to provoke the killer? More have appeared in Tassing in subsequent years, seemingly harbingers of death. Thank you for any help you can give. Magdalene Druckerin. Dearest Esther, I hope you are well. You must know how tremendously happy I am for you and Simon. And Elisha too, of course, and your parents. It warms my heart to know that your family is doing so well. By the time this letter reaches you, I expect winter will have enfolded Tassing. It's already freezing at night, so I've reorganized the workshop so that the inks don't deteriorate. Do you have to worry about that in Prague? You said it snows, but I always imagined it was warmer in winter. Dad's condition is so much worse, and he's in so much pain. Dr. Stoltz has been... well, he's a useless asshole. Only God knows why he's such a bitter old man, but he's neglected Dad almost entirely. Some days he just doesn't show up, and even if he does, he just snaps instructions at me and rushes off. I just wish I understood why. I also wish I understood why, Magdalene. If we did something to him as Andreas, and this was like the result of that, at least I'd understand the cause and effect. But like, he was an asshole to Andreas, and now he's more of an asshole. I worry about Dad. I've asked Agnes for help, but there's only so much we can do alone. He's not going to make it. There's nothing I can do. Christ, I'm scared, Esther. The mural is progressing well, but I can't shake the feeling that someone is following me. I keep seeing this figure around town. After I explored the mines to see Tassing's early history, and then again in the Abbey ruins. If it's the person who attacked my dad, why are they following me? It's the strangest thing, given me a fright a few times already. But I don't mean to worry you. Nothing's happened to me yet, so I think I'll be safe. I definitely don't think you'll be safe, Magdalene. The only good news I can share at the moment is that the mural is almost finished. I should have it completed by Christmas or soon after, before the new year at least. Then perhaps at long last I shall be able to visit you and meet this Simon. Anyway, I fear that this will be my last letter of the year. The Reichspost has already been late, and reported worsening snows through the passes. We seem to be stepping into a harsh winter. Stay warm, and give my regards to your family and Simon. Yours always, Magda. Okay. Again, we can leave. We're gonna check on our dad. I think maybe the extra time, like being able to leave, might be for you to be able to wrap something up if you started like a mini side quest and didn't finish it when you went into the mines or the ruins or like whatever progresses time. But I think we're okay to just... oh, there's something here. How did this get here? It says stop again. Yeah. I thought so, Father Thomas. It's not the same one because it's much more new. This is just like the note Dad found. Who's doing this? I have a feeling I'm going to find out sooner or later. I need to ask Dad about this. It can't be a coincidence. But he's been so weak. I don't want to upset him. Just need to wait for the right time. I hope there is a right time. It's right now, Magdalene. Because Father Thomas is gonna have us murdered. He's mad that we didn't paint the saints. We have to run around town frantically and tell everyone that the murderer is gonna come back. And have them just wait here. That's what I would do in her situation. But instead I'm going to Father Thomas to ask why he's writing these notes. Spirits, help! Someone's gonna murder me. Hey, Mags. Doesn't care. Doesn't really love me. Clara, help! Let me in. Let me stay with you. Somebody's gonna kill me. Will anyone help me? Anyone? Nope. They all locked their doors. Ertz is at least standing outside, but he still won't help. Time to go to sleep. We're just gonna leave our door open as well, like wide open with the light spilling out. What got you suspicious of Father Thomas? I've been having the stream on in the background while doing other things, so I probably missed details. I've been semi-suspicious of Father Thomas from the very beginning, when Andreas was doing the first investigation of the Baron's murder, and we talked to, God, I can never remember her name, but Voislav's wife, the former nun, Matilda, I think it's Matilda, who was attacked by the Baron, and she was telling Andreas that only Mother Cecilia and Father Thomas, who she confessed to, knew what had happened. And then, right after she said that, Andreas, potentially subconsciously knitting things together, right after she said that only Father Thomas and Mother Cecilia knew about it, and Andreas was like, by the way, did you happen to receive a note? To which she was like, actually, yes, I did, and she showed us the note. And then that had me kind of click those two things together, and I've been locked in since then. But what makes sense about it as a theory is that Father Thomas, A, is literate. We know that he's literate because he writes out the Anchoress's he writes out like her visions and stuff, and he's also, we now know that he's taught like everyone else in town to read. 2, he is, along with the Anchoress who can like overhear things, basically the only person in town who knows all of these people's secrets because he's their confessor. So they're all telling him everything that's going on. He has all the blackmail material. So he has been writing the notes to, like, pull people, like, here's this thing that I know about you, and, you know, Otto probably knows too, or the Baron is going to rat you out, and, like, getting them to do the dirty work for him, basically, killing these people. That's my theory. There's nobody else that I can think of in town who has the same level of access to information, the same level of access to being able to read and write, especially potentially with this like monastic script. We know that he's from a Benedictine abbey, much like the one at Kiersau, elsewhere in Bavaria, which means he very well could have, right? He wasn't from the abbey, but he like lived, we know that he lived there, like in the same town. Maybe he was in fact in the abbey, but either way, he had the opportunity to learn like this kind of illuminated manuscript writing. He's from the correct area. He knows everybody's secrets. There's nobody else in town that's like connected to all of those elements. And even if there was, like Mother Cecilia, she's now dead, so she can't be the one that's like continuing to know these things or continuing to do all of these things. Like Father Thomas, on the other hand, has obviously been through it all. And the various elements that didn't perfectly line up to me at first, like the fact that Sister Margaret, the blind nun, smelled the devil, like frankincense and sulfur, in the convent, and the note got planted in the convent. At first it was like, oh, like Father Thomas might not have been able to do that. He would have had someone on the inside. But we now know about the aqueducts that lead everywhere, including into the convent, including into the abbey, and he very well could have snuck in that way and then gone out through the aqueduct. It's also possible that it connects under the church. I wouldn't be surprised to find that. So basically, I've had a very strong suspicion that Father Thomas is behind all of this for a long time. And now it only seems more likely since we time jumped, and the first thing that we were confronted with is Father Thomas arguing with our father and saying, he shouldn't be painting this mural, even though Father Thomas isn't even on the council. And then immediately, our father gets attacked as soon as they have that argument. So, there's nobody else that I'm suspicious of at this point. It's late, I should get some rest soon. Oh, one more thing, the guy that ran past us in the costume on St. John's night was the general shape and size of Father Thomas. It was a larger male figure, a broader male figure. Mistress Struckerin, only one letter for you today. The path is nigh impossible to traverse, and the heavy snow is hard on the horse and me. Anyway, happy Advent, my dear. Thank you, the same to you. We didn't get murdered yet, so that's good. A reply from Jakob Essler. Mistress Struckerin, I do recall the Rothvogel case, though it has been over a decade since I have served as an archdeacon. I am no longer associated with the office of the Prince Bishop. In fact, I am no longer associated with the Catholic Church. If you do not mind conversing with a Lutheran, I will tell you what I remember. The notes you mentioned do stir something in my memory. One of the men I questioned at Kirsau was an artist from Nuremberg, Andreas Mahler. He mentioned finding notes, written in a fine hand, inciting individuals to violence against the Baron. While the scope of my investigation was too narrow to look into the matter, it did concern me. Finding more notes now, after so many years, must mean that their author is still active. If this is the case, a serpent has lain coiled in the bosom of your community for decades. It may lay there still. What causes this serpent to awaken every few years to stage a new killing? I fear that finding the answer to that question may draw you into its reach. However, if you are determined to find the source of the trouble, I believe you must inquire with your neighbors. I urge caution in your investigation into this matter. If the serpent merely sleeps, it may be dangerous to poke into its old resting places. I hope this has been of some help to you. May God bless and keep you safe. Jakob Essler. No reply from Esther this time. It must have been delayed due to the heavy snow. The postman said I won't receive any more letters until spring. Better get back to the Rathaus then. Still more work to be done. It's Christmas Eve. Good morning, Dad. I finally caught up on the mural. Now I can start the final part today. I promise I'll get it done. Magdalene, I'm proud of you. Thanks, Dad. I'm sorry Dr. Stoltz said you can't come to the festivities tonight. I know how much you love the Perchtenlauf. Germanic folk ritual around Christmas time, in which townsfolk dress as Perchten and drive evil spirits from the town to protect it in the coming year. As always, next year. Great. How are you feeling? Dr. Stoltz said he would come by again today. Fine, fine. I'm fine. Are you sure? Do you need anything? No, go on. I'm alright. In fact, my spirits are lifted today. It's Christmas Eve, after all. Of course. What's wrong? Dad, I found a note back in November. A note? What do you mean? It was like a note I found in your plans for the murals. Just a scrap of parchment. It looked like it came out of an old manuscript. Elaborate writing, purple ink. It just said, "Stop." Do you know where they came from? Who wrote them? Magdalene, Oh god. That must be Ertz. He said he'd drop by with more firewood. If you know something, I'd like you to tell me, alright? I know. I will. Can we talk about it later? Dad. I'll tell you, I promise. Alright. I'll be back later. Good. Take care of yourself out there. The other thing with Father Thomas, that may or may not be obvious is the scent of frankincense would be something that he just sort of generally smells like because he'd be doing, like, the Mass service, which includes frankincense. Morning, Magdalene. Morning, Ertz. Cold out, isn't it? Freezing. Makes me envy Nico, able to stay inside all day. Even Endris has his forge to keep him warm. Anyway, here. I brought some firewood for you and your dad. Thank you, Ertz. You're welcome. So, how's your dad? Think he can join everyone for Christmas Mass? I think he'll stay in bed tonight. I'll do my best to be there. I need to keep working on the mural, though. I'm working on the final section. About the peasants' revolt, right? Feels weird to talk about it. It feels weird to talk about. It affected Tassing so much, but we were just kids. I can't remember what happened since I was just a baby. I never even knew my dad. That's what makes it difficult. I need to ask those who were already adults that night, but don't want to touch raw nerves. What if you spoke to people while everyone was preparing for the Christmas festivities? Clara sometimes talks about that night. Mom, too. You might be able to ask them. Voislav and Matilda are the only two Benedictines left living in Tassing. Maybe they'll talk to me. Huh, I didn't think of that. Still, the mural is for Tassing, not the old abbey. Agnes has always been in Tassing, right? I'd go to her if I were you. Dad said she helped bury everyone who died that night. I wonder if she'd talk about it. It's your project, Magdalene. Might be worth a try. I wrote to the old archdeacon about it, too. He thinks that the Baron's murder and Otto's death are connected to the revolt. The who? The man who came to Tassing for the Baron Rothvogel's murder. What about him? I'm gonna keep pushing, because Ertz is motivated to help us, and I'm genuinely afraid for our life. Who is the judge for the Baron's murder? What if all the deaths in Tassing are connected? I don't see how that old Baron has anything to do with the revolt. Are you feeling alright? I think you're looking for connections that aren't there. Maybe this mural project is getting to you. I need to get to the bottom of this, Ertz. There's something more to all this. I know it. Promise, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. If you're sure. I'll figure it out somehow. Thanks for the wood. See you later, Mags. Ugh. Ertz is right. I should start talking to people around town. Better get started if I want to talk to everyone before the Perchtenlauf. Okay. I think that we'll end here for today and quite possibly finish the game tomorrow, assuming there are no more grand surprises with another fourth act or like an additional part of the game that opens up after we finish painting the mural. But I'm excited to see the result of it. And hopeful and scared that Father Thomas is going to have us murdered. So, thanks for joining. Have a good night. I'll resume and likely finish the game next time.